If you're squeamish, you don't look down. But the view out across the Amuri is spectacular. But most of us heading to or from Hanmer Springs hardly notice the bridge at all. It's probably been that way for the past 100 years. It's not until you get underneath that you can see just what an incredible piece of construction this is. It's over 100 feet from the river. And for the designers and the builders of 1887, you can imagine it was a real challenge. But the saga of the ferry bridge doesn't begin here. It begins much earlier. In the 1850s and 60s, North Canterbury, as far south as the Huranui, was part of Nelson Province. The provincial government was settling the Amuri. It was the day of the big sheep runs. People and sheep had to get over the fast-flowing Waiau River. It was to claim many lives. The result in 1864 was a remarkable wooden bridge at the head of the gorge. It was designed by Nelson engineer John Blackett and built by Nelson contractor Henry Handysides. It was said to flex as you crossed it. But only 10 years later, a violent nor'west gale swept the whole bridge away. For the next 13 years there was no bridge across the river. Travellers had to cross the changeable Waiau by whatever means they could. There were more drownings and there was lots of argument about the need for a new bridge. The arguments were about the site and who would pay. Central government replaced provincial government. Hanmer Springs was being developed too, and so were the big runs like George Rutherford's Leslie Hills. There was an accommodation house at the gorge as well. The breakthrough came when Mr. Lowe of St Helens Station got a quote for a bridge from Anderson's of Christchurch. In due course, Anderson's got the contract for the second bridge on the same site as the first. It was to be of iron, 255 feet long and 101 feet high. John Blackett was again the designer. The plans were meticulous in their detail. Every nut and rivet had to meet the very highest standards. The pig iron came from England and was cast on site in a special workshop. The bridge was to take 20 months to finish. The contract included the approach roads. The weather was fine on opening day. There was a ceremony on the bridge, and then afterwards the contractors set up a marquee nearby. Such was the lavishness of the celebration that the ground has since been known as Champagne Flat. The bridge was a masterpiece, spanning the gorge and at last providing that safe crossing of the Waiau and access from Canterbury to Hanmer Springs. The new bridge revolutionised the movement of wool from the big stations as well. In due course, a new hotel was built beside the bridge. It's there to this day, but not as a hotel. And today the ferry bridge stands as a memorial to those times. The detailing is just as impressive today as it was 100 years ago. The quality specified in those plans has paid its dividends. The people of the Amuri regard the ferry bridge as something special, and tourists today can appreciate that from an angle not possible till recently. Tomorrow there's to be a reenactment of the original opening ceremony. For Rosemary Ensor and the organising committee, it'll be followed by a function here on Champagne Flat, on the exact site of the original. Now, the mention of the marquee, there's something rather special about the marquee you're using for your reenactment, isn't there?
Johnson and Cousins supplied the original marquee for the opening of the bridge, and we're lucky enough to have them supplying it again. Descendants
of the original official party will take part as well. There's now a plaque on the site of Anderson's workshop, commemorating the long struggle the district had to get its bridge, and of course the bridge itself. A memorial to an era and to the engineering quality of the 1880s. And so what of the next 100 years? Well, I'm told the bridge is in excellent order. The decking, of course, gets regular attention, and the bolts that hold the whole structure together do get regularly tightened, and that's good news. So there's no reason at all why the Waiau Ferry Bridge shouldn't see its second centennial.